Great move today to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham because we catch up with new offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher. This is our first podcast with Dan Pitcher as coordinator, and he's leaving his office. This is the last time we're podcasting with him in his office as an assistant coach. Now he's going to be moving down the hallway with a bigger office, more gadgets and gizmos as offensive coordinator. Big move for Dan Pitcher, well deserved. This guy's got an extensive background, personnel department, assistant coach, offensive coordinator. He's got a voice on many, many levels. He's going to be very, very valuable here in the offseason as the Bengals start to put together what they're going to do, tweaking the offense, not what they did well, what they maybe didn't do as well, eliminate that, what the league is doing, kind of put that all together, and then get ready for the free agency and the draft. Dan Pitcher's background is very valuable in that regard as well. Very, very good move. Don't let anybody else get Dan Pitcher in the league as offensive coordinator. You do it, Cincinnati Bengals. Well done. Made a great decision to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, in our outstanding studio provided by First Star Logistics, because this is our first podcast with Dan Pitcher since he's been officially named offensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Coach, as well as that, which is big for us and big for our listeners and viewers, it's the last day at this abode, huh? This office is on the outs for you.
Yeah, man. It's been these have been my digs for 4 years, and so it's kind of bittersweet packing stuff up. I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to stuff, so it was a quick move down the hall, but a move that I'm happy to make for sure.
Well, I'll tell you, I think all of Bengals Nation is happy that move has been made. When Brian Callahan got that great opportunity to move on and be a head coach in the National Football League, I mean, that's what every coach's goal is, obviously. Everybody. I think everybody was like, okay, well, Dan Pitcher's the guy. He's the offensive coordinator. I know you had other interviews and other opportunities potentially with as many as a half a dozen teams or more. Take us through that process. What was it like as you were trying to decide what to do there and knowing that, boy, your heart and mind were really with the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, I think that last part's key. You know, every part of me wanted to continue here, and you were always balancing your love for the organization and the city and the people that you work with, your ambition to move forward in your career. And, things are kind of coming to a crossroads, and thankfully, Brian got a well-deserved opportunity, and that opened the spot here. And, once that happened, that really, all along, this was at the top of my list, as I kind of referenced last week in the press conference. And, once that happened, it was exciting for me because I felt like, it had a really good chance of happening the way I hoped it was going to work out, and it did.
The football gods basically said, all right, well, Brian Callahan is going to get an opportunity early here, because, if it had been prolonged for like another few weeks, a couple of weeks, a month or whatever, you would have had no choice but to go through that interview process. And what if somebody said, you're not going anywhere. We love you. You're right here. You're our offensive coordinator. So the fact that the opportunity, the evolution of that was so quick with Brian was a big plus for you eventually.
Sure. Yeah, it was. It eliminated me having to make a very difficult decision if it had come to that, and that's the reality of how this process works and the timing of it. And certainly the potential was there that I would have had to make a call along those lines, but it was in the cards where it didn't have to happen, and I couldn't be happier.
So, Coach, 8 years in the National Football League in the coaching ranks now, because everybody knows, you spent some time in the personnel aspect of things with Duke Tobin and his folks, but 8 years coaching. Now you're offensive coordinator at a young age, 8 years. Did it exceed your expectations? I know you have goals. You're a goal-oriented guy. All successful, intelligent people are. How did it unfold sooner than you expected? What do you think?
That's hard to say. I've never sat there and said, hey, by this date, I expect to be in this role. I envision this for myself, and I think I've always just been really focused on, okay, how do I do the best possible job in the role that I'm in currently, And as long as I do that, then it's going to open doors for me down the road. And that's been my approach from the day I've walked in the door in the NFL as a scouting assistant in Indianapolis 12 years ago. Like that was that my mindset has not changed. So I've envisioned this for myself. I didn't know what the timeline was going to be. I was eager for this opportunity, because I feel like I've kind of, progressed. I spent 4 years in that personnel world, kind of transitioned into coaching. I spent 4 years in a QC role. I spent 4 years as a quarterback coach, and it just felt like, all right, this is the time, you're ready. And it worked out that way. So, very happy and excited to get going in this role.
So again, a guy of your intelligence and abilities, and you could have done anything. I mean, really, with your life's work. When did you decide coaching was what you wanted to do and go after it full bore like you have?
It's interesting. I love the game growing up, and I was always kind of in my mind, like, hey, however you can make this your life's work, and anytime your passion can become your job. I mean, how lucky am I? And then I went through a period kind of early in my college playing career where I was hurt, and I wasn't, you go from that time when, everybody's the best player on their high school team, and you get to play and you do all these great things, and you show up at college, and now I wasn't getting on the field. And so that was a period of time for me where I had to really look at my love for football, like how do I love just playing the game, or do I really love football? And so I may have wavered for a little bit. And then when I transferred from Colgate to SUNY Cortland, I sat out a semester and I coached high school football. And I actually coached my brother's senior year.
Huh.
And I volunteered. And by the third day of volunteering, the head coach, who's a great guy and a friend to this day, basically said, all right, you can call the plays. And so that experience for me, one fall of coaching high school football as I was in between transferring colleges, really solidified how much fun this is. And I was in my infancy there, and I had no idea what I didn't know. And I still, to some degree, don't know what I don't know. But that kind of solidified it for me. Like, this is what you want to do, man. This is fun. However you can make this your life's work, go do it.
It's interesting. You said very quickly your coach that you were involved with in high school said, okay, hey, you got it. You're going to be calling plays. Have you and Zach talked about that aspect of things? Zach, I know Zach is like, man, always balancing. I don't want to, this is a grind. I got a lot of responsibilities. Otherwise, as a head coach, calling the plays, maybe thinking about handing it off to Brian. Brian gets a head coaching position. Has it been discussed yet? Well, how that might unfold with you and Zach?
Zach and I have had a lot of really good discussions about, the direction that he sees us going as a team, staff-wise, player-wise. So I am completely comfortable with how we see this thing progressing. There's a lot on my plate, and as I spoke about in the press conference as well, like right now, it's just about establishing my role as a leader for these guys and being able to set a course and a vision for how do we get better over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months before we go take our break for the summer and then come back for training camp. So, maybe some of those discussions will happen even further down the line, but there's so much right in front of me right here in this role that I'm really not looking past these next couple months, and we're just going to attack it as it comes.
I bet when you were playing the quarterback position, you knew everybody's assignment on every single play. Were you one of those kind of guys that you not just what you need to do as a quarterback and your reads, obviously, but you knew, what the offensive line was doing, how the protection was going to unfold based on a call? I mean, was that you as a player? Were you that involved?
I think I grew to that when I had my most success, my last years in college. I was that way. I wasn't always that way. It took me a long time to get to that point where I felt like I not only knew what I needed to do, but I knew what all the other guys on my side of the ball were doing and how we were attacking the defense. And so that took a long time to get to that point. But part of that was growing as a teacher, being able to be on the field and giving my guys feedback. Hey, I need you here at this point, and here's why, and what you did there, that's not always going to work, so we can't go down that road. Or that was great. I love what you saw there. I saw the exact same thing. We got to, make sure we continue that moving forward. Those little things, I think as a player, as an older player, are the kind of things that just lead you right into coaching. And I really enjoyed that part of it, just that interaction with my teammates. And so I think it definitely, helped me as I transitioned into coaching.
You mentioned your high school coach is still one of your best friends to date. How many people did you reach out to, or how many people reached out to you once they heard about the official promotion of Dan Pitcher to offensive coordinator, besides immediate family? I mean, was it crazy? Was it off the hook for you?
There was a lot of people reaching out, a lot of congratulations and support, and I've tried like hell to get back to everyone, and I'm still kind of in the process of doing that. But it feels great, and I've said this all along. Like, we get to where we are, number one, because it's important to us and we work hard, but we get there on the backs of the people that have helped us, and those people for me are countless. So to have that type of support, and the people reach out to me that did, family, friends, coaches, teammates, co-workers, ex-co-worker, it ran the gamut, and it felt really good.
Yeah, that's awesome, Coach. Well deserved. So, Joe Burrow talks about how much he trusts and respects. And I mean, he loves you, man, on all levels, as a person, as a football coach. The continuity and the consistency of making this move, to me, had to be a huge appeal from an organizational standpoint and from your standpoint as well. I mean, in the NFL, when you have a guy like Joe Burrow to work with, man, if you can continue that relationship, why not? I mean, my gosh. And then Brad Craigthorpe, I know, is in the mix. He's working at one of the All-Star games right now, coaching quarterbacks. I don't think there's anything been officially announced yet. What's your take? Do you think the continuity and consistency might continue in that regard?
I mean, I think, Zach said this the other day, whenever you can achieve continuity and still have people in the roles that you feel confident in, that can succeed. I mean, that's an ideal scenario when you've had success with people with this vision and this work ethic, and work well together. If you can continue that, as long as complacency never creeps in. That's what you always have to guard against. When you have continuity and you're able to continue working with the same people, you just have to guard against complacency. And that's one of my prime jobs in this role, is to make sure that we stay fresh and that we're attacking this thing as if everybody was walking in here in their first year, with regard to our work ethic and our effort and all that, being willing to look at different things, with fresh sets of eyes. And so if you can achieve a balance between those things, that's the optimal situation, I think. And so, being able to continue working with Joe, like you said, having a guy like Brad, who's a bright young coach on our staff, who's really grown, who's also been with Joe for a really long time, that the search for the quarterback coach is ongoing, and there's a lot of great candidates that we've talked to, but certainly, Brad's shown a high level of competency in a number of roles. So it's great. It would be great to continue to have him in whatever role he's in. So I think we're in a really good spot, and we just got to make sure we keep our foot on the gas.
Yeah, I mean, Joe and Brad go back to the LSU days and this success there, which is extraordinary and outstanding when you think about it. You mentioned something very interesting to me. It's like I said, you have a brilliant football IQ as well as overall IQ. But when you're looking at how much of your time is split, and how is the split between, all right, maybe honing in on, that maybe we don't really need to do that, but boy, I like this. Maybe I can add to that. Tweaking your stuff internally, as opposed to things you see outside that Joe Burrow can do anything. I mean, Jake's proven he can handle a lot too. That balance of incorporating some things that you see on the perimeter, and as opposed to really honing and fine tuning what you guys already have been doing.
It's all of it. That's a simple, easy answer, but it's a true answer. You have to have a great sense for what have we done, what have we shown the league with regard to who we are and what we're willing to be. What areas have we had the success that we want to have? What are areas where we need to get better? And then there is an element, you have to, in my opinion, you have to study the league. You got to know what's out there. You have to know what's playing and what's successful, particularly against opponents that you're going to be going to be facing and schemes that you're going to be facing. And so that's a major part of our job in the off season, as well as the personnel evaluation part of it with regard to both free agency and the draft. So it's meshing all those things together, because it all starts with who do we have, and so the next couple of months is about, who do we still have under contract? What is the universe of players that's available to us, whether those be free agents or rookies coming into the league, and how do we add the types of players and the types of people that are going to get us where we want to go, and who those people are and who we ultimately end up with is going to inform a lot of what we'll do. And so, all those things tie together, and it's a big puzzle, and it's a fun one to try to figure out. And that's why we all choose to do what we do, because that's what we love.
So the 2 Super Bowl participants, the Cincinnati Bengals played both of them. And let me make sure I get the date right. On October 29th, in San Francisco, whipped the 49ers 31-17, 2-score victory in front of 71,655, second largest crowd played against. And then December 31st, you have to go to Kansas City. Both Super Bowl participants on the road in front of 73,565, the largest crowd. 25-17, Jake Browning, 1-score game, very competitive football game. This football team's as good as anybody, right, Coach? I mean, it's like the Cincinnati Bengals are right there, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And the margin of error and the difference in teams in this league, as you know very well, is just so small. And so on any given Sunday, anybody can beat anybody. We obviously, what we've shown over the last 3 seasons is that we can and should, in our minds, beat anybody that we come up against. And we understand how hard that is, and we understand that you're not going to run out there and win every game. But with regard to how we performed against these teams that are left, obviously, we played great against San Francisco. We didn't quite get enough, to get the victory against Kansas City. But we believe we can play with anybody, we can beat anybody, and it's easy to say on January 31st. It's about doing the work that gets you to that point and actually going and doing it, and that's what we get paid to do.
Ball security, taking care of the football is such a big deal. We've talked about it many times. I mean, only 16 turnovers, 16 giveaways in a 17-game season, tied for second fewest in the NFL. That's outstanding. Only put the ball on the ground 10 times, second fewest in the National Football League. Lost 2 of them, fewest in the National Football League. That's outstanding. Patrick Mahomes is showing avoid big mistakes and make big plays when they're available to you. This guy hasn't been sacked, has not turned it over, no interceptions, no fumbles, 11 touchdowns during the playoffs. I mean, that's elite, as elite as you can get. But number 9 is capable of the same stuff, isn't he?
He is, and there's no doubt. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has shown that he's an all-time great, and we believe that Joe is capable of the same level of production, and Joe's shown that he is capable of the same level of production. Unfortunately, we didn't get a full season of Joe this year. And so I know he's doing everything in his power to make sure we get that next year. And we'll, we're going to do everything we can to put him in a position to show that he's, the best in the world. But, kudos to Patrick and what he's done so far in the playoffs. I don't think anybody's surprised. I mean, he's a rare player.
So right now, and I think I've asked you, we talked about this before, but your background in the personnel area of it is so valuable now in my mind. Now you're offensive coordinator, even, I mean, at this high level, to have that expertise and that background when veteran free agency, the draft, all the components of, how, if you are unable to sign all your players, you're going to be, I mean, no team stays intact, but the aspect of being able to make significant contributions and opinions about this guy can play, this guy can't, in those areas. How much did the scouting aspect of things enhance your ability as a coach, do you think?
I think it's definitely helped. It's one of the things that I'm excited about moving to this role, is kind of my ability now to zoom back out and be able to evaluate and contribute to that process for the offensive side of the ball as a whole, rather than just really zoning in on the quarterback position. because I do enjoy that part of it. I mean, I learned how to do that. I spent a lot of time working on it, and it's fun to me, And so being able to do that over the next couple months and hopefully, as you said, retain some of the guys. We all know we're not going to be able to do it with all of them, but retain some of the guys that we believe in and have helped get us to this point, and then add when we can, and be involved in that process. Then yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a big part of our ability to have the kind of success that we want next year. So we got to dedicate ourselves to it and give our best effort.
Well, Coach, I know I'm excited about what you're going to bring to the table, all the ideas and concepts and everything that swirling around that football mind of yours. And I think all the Bengals Nation is as well. And I know you have to be excited, but you have to be totally, man, this is what I've worked for my whole life. I mean, this is, I'm ready. This is my goal, and here's the steps I took to achieve it. So it's not going to be too big for you. I know that, Coach, and it's going to be fun watching what you bring to the table, sir.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and there'll be bumps along the way. I'm sure I've screwed up every day of this job for 12 years, and I'll screw up every day moving forward. But the goal is not to make the same mistake twice. And I know I'm prepared, and I'm excited about what I can bring to the Bengals in this role. So it's going to be a fun off season, and I'm excited to get back on with the staff and really just getting after it.
And Coach, just talking to other coaches on the staff and talking to players, everybody is totally in on Dan Pitcher. They're excited for you. They're thrilled for you. They know you deserve it. And congratulations, man. It's something that needed to happen. I'm glad it happened.
Me too, Lap. Appreciate you, man.
Have a great one, sir. Thanks.
All right. You got it.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.